Welcome to episode 28 of the RebelRebel podcast, brought to you by Make More Creative and Drop Bear and Panda Productions. Looking for some cool free swag? Subscribe to RebelRebel or Drop Bear and Panda Save the World podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Heck, you can even do both. You do it, and we're going to send you some sweet limited edition show decals. Just shoot us an email and let us know where to send them. It's all yours. In this episode 28 of the RebelRebel, we travel all the way to Chicago, Illinois in the United States of America via Skype and hang out with Darryl Duncan from Game Beat Studios and the Dream Council. Darryl was staff writer with A&amp and Warner Brothers. He did sound for Electronic Arts, so if you've played John Madden Football, chances are you've heard Darryl's work. Darryl is also part of the Dream Council, helping young artists all over the world navigate life in the arts. He's a songwriter, producer, and gifted speaker. Kick back and relax and enjoy episode 28 of the RebelRebel podcast. I am sitting here, I'm sitting in Canada, and I've got Darryl Duncan sitting across from me in Chicago. How you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm very good, Michael. Glad to be here. Excited to be here.
Darryl, you are a creative rebel to your very core. I'm going to put a bunch of links that we talk about in the notes and stuff like that. But you're a musician that classically trained.
Formally trained. I wouldn't say classically as in classical, right, but formally trained.
Formally trained, yeah. And I mean, you worked for companies like Electronic Arts. You've worked with some really big names in the music industry. How did you get there? Like, can you sort of bring me up to speed on your journey?
Sure. Well, I started out in the mainstream music industry. I've had a couple of transitions since then, but I got my first break back in 1986 when I got signed as a staff writer for A&amp Records. And I was a staff writer for them for 5 years. Got a chance to write for Shaka Khan, Michael Jackson, Earth, Wind & Fire, Jeffrey Osborne.
Wow.
I actually had a solo album myself on Motown in 87.
Nice.
But my album was released the exact same week Motown was sold to Polygram. So all the promotion people lost their jobs, and I got no promotion on my album.
No.
So it's horrible timing, but my album got really good reviews. It really did.
Oh, that's great.
And then I transitioned from A&amp Records as a staff writer to Warner Brothers. I went to Warner Brothers for 3 years, and I did a lot of what I wanted to do in the mainstream industry. I produced R. Kelly's first album, unreleased, and then I transitioned myself into the gaming world, and that's how I ended up with Electronic Arts. I ultimately didn't want to have to depend on a hit record to feed my family.
Yeah,
and that was my conscious decision to kind of stray away from the music industry. I wanted something a little more concrete and solid. And for me, that was the gaming industry, which is still booming, but began booming at that time, really big, you know. So I became a lead sound designer and composer for Electronic Arts and got to work on John Madden Football for 3 years.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Well, the funny part about it is when I got the call from EA, I was playing John Madden Football at that moment. And I thought it was some type of joke. It was like, dude, you got your resume, and we want to know if you'd like to come down to our Florida studio and be the lead audio guy for John Madden Football.
Oh, my God.
I was like, are you freaking kidding me? I'm in.
Yeah.
So I did that for 3 years. And then ultimately I transitioned into advertising, which is where I am right now.
Right. And so you've got Game Beat Studios is your main gig. That's where you're at right now?
Yes, that's my company's name, Game Beat Studios. Although I do fewer games now, I do a lot more TV and radio advertising, but I chose not to change my company name because I developed a certain amount of brand recognition, and I didn't want to kind of start over. So Game Beat Studios is fairly recognizable name in the area.
Yeah, that's awesome. So tell me, like, I guess what I'm trying to ask is, you're now doing lots of advertising stuff. What's the thrill in that for you? Like,
but believe it or not, Michael, advertising is where I wanted to be from the very beginning. As a kid, I remember looking at TV, thinking to myself, how cool would it be to be able to make those jingles, be the guy who creates the music for those TV and radio commercials. And that's before I got into the mainstream industry or gaming. Wow. So this is kind of a full circle for me. I always wanted to be a composer for TV and radio commercials. And I've been doing that now exclusively for about 12 years in advertising.
Wow. So are jingles dead or not? Like, are we ever going to hear like some killer jingles like we used to have when we were kids?
I'm glad you asked that question. I'm going to try to talk less than a week on that subject. But yes and no.
Yeah.
The great jingles like the Oscar Mayer win or those days, those are gone because, and I won't say gone. They've just really diminished. Like now the equivalent of that is give me a break, break me up a piece of that Kit Kat. But you hear these jingles that stick in your head. Yeah. But the name of the game now is just licensing. They're just licensing the music of established acts. Right. And so you'll turn on a TV commercial and just hear some Travis Scott or Snoop Dogg or Maroon 5 or whoever the hottest act is of the day. Yeah. They're just licensing that music, and that's not great news for companies like myself. But I consider my company to be insanely creative, able to rise above that whole licensing thing and offer clients something that still can't beat canned music. Yeah, right on. What's your favorite project right now? Well, I've been doing, believe it or not, slipping back into my gaming roots, and I completed 3 video games, slot games, Vegas style games. Oh wow! One-armed bandit games. Yeah. And you'll only see them in Vegas. They're not games you can buy. They're not for Xbox or anything. Yeah. But I just completed. This was about 2 months ago now. But I completed 3 games for a local company called 2x2 Gaming, and right now I'm actually hoping to get involved in a project that I can't really mention yet, but if it comes through, it'll be mainstream, major product, and because I consider myself still a songwriter. A lot of guys these days are beat makers, and there's a big difference, right. In my opinion. They think they're making music, but making beats is a lot different. Yeah. It's an element of making music, but it's not really making music. But I'm trying to get back into the whole jingle writing thing, like we mentioned, the classic jingles, and but not a lot of companies are looking for that just yet. Like I say, everyone wants to license, so trying to stay afloat that way. I have to keep reinventing myself, so to speak. Right on. Yeah, I feel you. There's another thing that you're involved in as well, which is the Dream Council. Yes, and that's baby. That's my baby. Man, that is so cool. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Absolutely. Well, for years, being a music producer and composer, I would always get young people, aspiring artists and aspiring talent, just calling me for advice, for guidance, for tips, for direction. Yeah. And I freely give it of my time. I wouldn't charge them. It's just like, I got a couple minutes. What do you need to know? What can I help you with? And I would tell guys what they should be doing, what they should not be doing, what directions and things they need to lay out to get their path or their goals. Yeah. And then I had an epiphany one day, early last year. I said, you know what? I get so many people contacting me needing this advice. And again, my skill is I'm a music producer and composer. Yeah. So my skill set is that. I'm not an actor. I'm not a model. I'm not a dancer. I'm not a voice actor. I'm not a rapper. So I thought to myself, what if I could assemble expert veterans in each of those fields to create a company for the sole purpose of consulting and mentoring young people looking to get into those different fields. Yeah. So I set out to do just that. I went, and it took me months to find the perfect people, but I recruited 7 professionals, and these are all people who've been there, done that in the industry. They're at the top of their game in that field. We've got Kim Handysides, who is probably the most recognized voiceover talent in the world right now. We've got Mike Lawrence, who's an entertainment attorney, Steve Buckley, who's a former A&R at Motown industry executive. We also have Dawn Lewis, who you may know from the hit TV show A Different World. Yeah. Dawn Lewis is our modeling acting consultant. We have Janet Cole Valdez, who is our songwriting consultant. She was a hit songwriter for Motown for years. And we have Nick Anthony, who is our dancing consultant. And I'm your songwriter producer consultant. Nice. And I've assembled each of these people. So we have what's called the Dream Council. And the Dream Council is a phone-based consulting firm ready to help mentor, guide, and direct young people to help them figure out what the next step is in their career. Right. And they can be anywhere in the world. All we need at this point is you have to have a phone and speak English, and we can consult with you. So we've had calls from people in different parts of the globe. They don't have to even be in North America or the United States. We've had people in Europe, in Russia, in Africa. contacting some of our consultants, just needing a little bit of advice, want to know what direction. And my goal for this was, you might think that these professionals' time might be out of the reach financially for a lot of young people.
Right.
But our consultations start at $35. You can speak to our professionals for $35, and we'll give you all the information you could possibly absorb. Have a pen ready, and we have a lot of young people that just are so excited about the service we're offering, because now they are able to, they know the next step they need to take, right, and the do's and the don'ts and the pitfalls. So yeah, the Dream Console has taken off really, really well. We launched just January of this year, so it's only been about 9 months, and we hope to expand to other fields like comedian and what was the other one? A couple of other artistic fields, but right now we've got our hands full with what we're doing now, and we're helping a lot of young people get closer to their dreams.
That's awesome. And I was checking out the website, and I'll put it up in the notes there. Yeah, it's so accessible, right? Like for $35, and I don't want this to sound like a sales pitch, but $35 to get a dump of knowledge.
Packages. Our first package is $35. That's a 15-minute consultation. Yeah. But you can get a lot of questions answered in 15 minutes.
No kidding.
All right. And then we have the $55 package, which is a half-hour consultation. Yeah. And then we have a 45-minute consultation, which is $80. Yeah. But still, to consult with someone with this level of knowledge and experience, you're talking several $100s to talk to them for a few minutes.
Oh, yeah.
But we want it to be something that young people could afford. Yeah. And then we have what's called the Dream Package, which also includes video consultation, where we can we'll watch you audition, perform your craft, your art, your talent, give you a critique. We have what's called a career-specific resource directory, which is packed full of tips, advice, direction, and all type of information they can use to pursue that particular field, be it dancing, acting, modeling. Each field we have separate resource packages for, and what we love about it is it's all internet based. You go to our website, you pick the field you want to be in. Say you want to be a dancer, you click on the dancing field, it brings up Nick Anthony's calendar. He's available this date, you're available that date. You lock it in, and at that time you call the number, you direct it right to Nick, and you're talking to him one-on-one, answering all the questions you may have about how to get further in the world of dancing. And he's done everything. Nick has been on all the dancing TV shows. He's danced with all type of celebrities and choreographed with them as well. You may not know his name because he's not a household name to the average guy, but in the world of dance, he's well known. Wow. But I'm just really excited because it's all a self-oiling machine. It's not a brick and mortar. There's no place you have to come. Yeah. If you got a phone, we can service you.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So this came from, was it frustration for you when you were younger that you wanted to have this, or, I know you said that people were calling you all the time, but oftentimes it comes from somewhere inside.
Oh, absolutely. If I had access to the type of knowledge we possessed when I was younger, man, I'd have got where I wanted to go a lot quicker, and probably a more successful path even, because young people these days, they're bombarded with so much BS, scams, and wannabe managers trying to, sign them on the dotted line. There's so much to know and avoid in this industry. And we help them avoid all those pitfalls because we give them the straight, skinny, the 100% truth. We have no motive. We're not trying to sign them. We're just trying to give them the knowledge they need to not get burned. Yeah. And then if there's legal questions, we have Mike Lawrence, who is our legal entertainment attorney, who can answer anything related to music industry business, legally, publishing, copyrights, the whole deal. And like I say, right now we're servicing actors, dancers, models, singers, voice actors, songwriters, and producers, or what they like to call them, beat makers these days.
Yeah, right.
But for me, if only I had this type of access to industry professionals when I was coming up and trying to start out, it would have been invaluable to me. But luckily, we can be that for a lot of young people now.
That's awesome, man. Thank you. That's kick-ass.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Yeah, right on. So in your day-to-day, I was checking out your personal music site, and you've got some really great songs up there. And I think I'll end up misquoting you, but I mean you'll get it. Okay. That you do music, only the music that interests you. You don't just do whatever. If it's not in the heart, then you don't do it.
Exactly. And that's my mission now. When I was younger, as a staff writer for A&M Records and Warner Brothers, it was my job to do music for top acts, top artists, stuff they were looking for, that fit them. But as I've gotten older and my business is to write music for TV and radio commercials, that's my professional side. On my personal side, now I get the opportunity to write what I feel. I'm not trying to be commercial. I'm not trying to sell records. I'm trying to satisfy my own creative instinct inside. And one of the songs that came out of that was a song called "Sane." Yeah. And it's a song that, about a subject that I'm passionate about, and that's the fight against hatred and racism in the world. Yeah, right on. And the song has a powerful message of love and equality, but it speaks to those who don't quite feel that we are the same or we are equal as human beings. And that's who I'm speaking to lyrically in the song. And I would love for all your listeners to go listen to that song. Yeah. It's at DarrylDuncan.com, and you can just go right to that site and you'll see a song called "Sane." And I made a video out of it. It's a music video. Yeah, I saw that. And I'm really proud of that song. And in this day and age, where in this country racial tensions are at an all-time high, I'm really proud to be able to share a message with people that speaks to that and talks about, no matter what you think, we are all the same. Yeah. We're all the same.
That's awesome. And the talent that voiced it, can you tell me a little bit about them?
Absolutely. Well, I like to use local talent, people that are in my area, and I audition them. I work closely with them, but I want to use the best of the best to help them shine, and they can help my music shine. Yeah. I'm not a singer. I'm a vocal coach. Yeah. I produce vocals very well, but I'm not a singer myself. Yeah. So the young lady that I had singing on that song her name is Crystal Beckford. Yeah. And I've known her for years. She used to do a lot of jingle work for me. Huh? But I told her I've got this song called "Sane," which is about hatred and racism, and I would love for you to sing it. And I showed it to her. We worked on it for several weeks, and that's her singing the lead vocal. And the young man rapping is a guy named Theory Martin X. Yeah. That's his stage name. And he wrote his own rap. I said, this is what the song's about. Write a rap that touches on all these things, but make it positive, Yeah. And the song has kind of went viral on YouTube. It's been out for it's been about a year now. I think I released it last November. Yeah. And it's got several 100,000 views on YouTube. Nice. And I shouldn't say several. It's like up to 250 now. It's a couple 100,000. Yeah. But that's pretty good for under a year's time. Yeah, man. But a lot of people are sharing it. It's a message that a lot of people want to share with others, especially people who feel the way I feel about those lyrics in that song. Yeah. But yeah, I got Crystal singing lead, Theory singing, doing the rap, and bringing back to the point you also mentioned, the other song, which is second on that page, on the DarrylDuncan.com page, is a contemporary Christian song called "Always There." Yeah. Again, just something that I wanted to write, which is kind of symbolic of my own spiritual journey. Yeah. And the young lady singing that song is named EMRE Wilkins. Amazing vocalist. And that's what I'm going to continue to do. I don't know what my next project's going to be, but it's going to be something that's near and dear to my own heart. Yeah. That I think a lot of people will be able to relate to.
That's awesome. What's your favorite instrument? Let's do a deep dive on what you like to play, because I hear some really funky jazz guitar and some sick bass as well.
My main instrument is keyboard. Yeah, I have to say, but a lot of times people ask me that. I tell them my instrument is actually the computer, because I'm an electronic digital guy. Yeah. I cannot make the music I make without my computer. Yeah. I am a musician, but being a one-man show in terms of writing, producing, composing, and arranging all the parts, I would be nowhere without my computer software. But my main instrument is keyboards, but I know a lot of amazing musicians who I also use when I need to for these songs.
What software are you driving right now?
I'm a Pro Tools guy.
Are you? Okay, cool.
I use Pro Tools for everything. I also use Native Instruments Machine, but I'm a lot more fluid and I would say powerful in Pro Tools.
Yeah, right on. I've got a friend up here that does a lot of my sound work called, his name is EMRE Chords. And man, can that guy run around Pro Tools. Like, it's crazy. So, that's a good piece of kit.
It's my weapon of choice. I'm really comfortable in it. I love it.
Awesome. Now, maybe I'm going to get you in trouble here. Maybe I won't. We're going to find out. What do you think about Spotify and streaming music for artists?
Well, it's almost like someone asking someone so many years ago, what do you think about this round thing called the wheel that makes us roll a little bit faster?
Yeah.
What do you think about this? I look at it as it's progress. No one can stop progress. It's technology. Yeah. Technology is going to be, I don't want to sound like Ted Kaczynski, but it's going to be our downfall ultimately. And it is in many ways. I mean, I think about what the cell phone has done to families and people in the world in general. Not all technology is great, but not all technology is great, if you know what I mean.
Totally. Yeah.
So to answer your question, Spotify and these streaming sites, it was the next step. Yeah. It's almost like it was when I I'm a movie buff. I love watching movies, and then I never forget when Blockbuster came out. You go to the store, you rent a VHS movie, and you come back home. Yeah. Well, that's history now. There are no more VHSs. I mean, they're not the format anymore. Everything's streaming, and I never thought I'd see the day in my lifetime where CDs are extinct now.
Right.
Even this is a streaming world. So I look at it as like this: you can't even if you wanted to, you cannot stop the march of technology. So what it's done to the music industry now is a whole different thing. I mean, it's really cut into the income of artists and record labels, because they're paying people 2 or 3 pennies per stream.
Yeah.
Whereas you get $14 when somebody buy your album.
Yeah.
I mean, the record label got 8 or 9 of it, but it was just financially the whole model has changed, and it's made a lot of people unhappy and stressed, but it's made a lot of other people happy, and those are the streaming companies themselves, because they can choose to pay their artists what they want. And the artist can say, okay, I'll stream with you for this amount, or I won't. And that's great for huge artists like Jay-Z or Rihanna or Drake. They can make the deals they want to make, but for the lesser known artist, it's just almost impossible to make a living streaming, because there's just not a lot of money in it. And then you still have no marketing mechanism, and to promote your music, to let them know your music is up there streaming outside of your immediate Facebook circle. So it's a difficult time for the music industry, I believe. And I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. Yeah. But I don't know what that better is, because we went through cassette tapes and 8-tracks and CDs. There are no more physical mediums. Yeah. It's streaming. It's almost like it's invisible now. So I don't have the answer to that, but it's a scary time.
And so for artists that sort of get stuck in this trap, like I've got some friends that are indie artists, and they're certainly struggling. I think this one guy made $11 on his album in the last 6 months. But, he's always asking, how can I get out there? So is it touring now? Is it gigging? Is that the way to do it?
Touring is a big part of it. I mean, outside of buying records, the only other way to hear it is to go to the live concerts. Yeah. But touring has its own downfalls, because you really got to be a huge name to fill the venues that are going to make you money. Yeah. And then just like in the record business, everybody got to get their piece. You've got the booking agents, the managers, the venues, the artists, the crew, there's so many people that have to get a piece of it. When that artist finally gets their piece, they can probably pay the bills, but they're not getting filthy rich off of touring. Unless, again, you're this top tier of artists. Right. Like you're on a Jay-Z, Beyonce tour, you're going to make millions off the tour, But there are a lot of artists who are selling records streaming-wise, but they have to tour with a group of artists in a similar stature. Yeah. You're talking about, to really make money, you got to be on a tour with 6 or 7 artists at a certain level. Yeah. Very few artists can tour by themselves, and then you got big artists who are filling venues no bigger than large clubs. Yeah. It's just, I wish I I wish I knew where it's going from here.
Yeah.
But everyone's doing what they got to do to pay the bills and eat. And even recording artists who would sell millions 30 years ago, they're struggling to stay alive from tours.
Yeah.
You know, to survive with tours. The money's not in the record, selling records anymore. It's just not, you know. I mean, and then you got the integrity of every human being out there. Well, my buddy has his music. I'll get it from him. Why am I going to buy it? Or I'll use his account to stream it, or I'll download it off of his account. You know, it's different than if you wanted this CD, you have to go into Best Buy and get that CD and come home with it. And it's a physical piece of hardware that not everyone could share, you know, and it wasn't something you could copy. So it's a new ball game now, man. And I don't, and again, I think the only ones that are really coming out ahead are not the successful ones, but not the super successful ones, but the mega successful ones,
right?
Artist wise, those are the ones who are really making the money, and I can name them. You know, like I said, the Drakes, the Maroon 5s. There are a lot of young new artists out there, but it's average doesn't cut it anymore. You really got to be that mega artist to really make the type of money that platinum artists were making 30 years ago. So,
and do you think, and maybe this is going too deep into the rabbit hole, but is it one of these situations where if you have money to promote yourself, you can become a big artist? Is it talent based, or is it promotion based?
That's a great question. I think it's a combination, but with the technology of YouTube and Facebook, virtual unknowns can become megastars in a week's time.
Right.
And that has happened with a lot of young singers, because then the general public is faced with a talent that just blows them away.
Right.
And then when you're blown away by something, you share it.
Yeah.
And when they share it, then you know you've got 5 million downloads, then the record labels are begging to sign you.
Right.
So you've written your own ticket that way. So a lot of ways, social media is helping discover artists.
Right.
Whereas it used to be discovered by, people, but it helps. Social media definitely helps, but it also saturates social media with a lot of garbage too.
Yeah.
Because everyone's trying to do that. They think they have a talent. They're singing in the mic with the camera on, and they're wondering why they didn't make it. Well, because what you're doing is not impressive.
Right.
There are certain talents that. I think of these twin rappers that are amazing. If I'm not mistaken, I can't remember the girl's name. She sings the Nationwide commercials.
Okay. I'll Google it and drop a link in.
Haley something maybe. I can't think of her name, but she plays guitar. Gorgeous little girl. She plays guitar, and Nationwide is on your side. I can't think of her name. But
Jingles.
She sings. I think she was discovered on social media. But and there was a couple other people too. But yeah, I mean, social media is important. It's like the auditioning stage now for many people.
Right.
And the more likes and hits and subscribes you can get, that determines what labels look at you to try to sign you.
Right.
And you mentioned marketing. No one who's not really discovered really has the type of money it takes to market yourself. We're talking, it really takes millions of dollars to get the world to hear you, or what you to market and promote your project. Otherwise you're talking about doing it on a few different Facebook pages and some record store signings and stuff like that. But you're reaching such a microscopic group of people, whereas back in the day the labels had the money to do it on a scale, whereas everyone instantly heard of you. Now they go to get the record to hear you.
Right.
So I mean, it's difficult. I mean, marketing is important, but unless you have the money to really pump into it, it's hard to get out there with it.
Yeah. A friend of mine has got a recording company up here in Canada, in Calgary, and he was saying, and these are general numbers, but he was saying with Sony back in the day, they'd basically be developing, call it 100 artists. And so they're putting money into these artists, and of those 100 artists, maybe 20 of them would start making some money. So they put more money into those 20, basically drop the 80, and then out of those 20, maybe 5 would be right on the tipping point. So they put more money into those artists, developing them, get rid of the other 15, and then out of those 5, maybe 2 would actually hit it.
And that's pretty much how it worked back then. But it's the same way in that a label would sign 20 artists, do a single on 15 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever single got the most buzz, that's the artist who they pump more money into.
Right, yeah.
You know, and that's just what you said. So it's pretty much the same thing. You know, they won't do a whole album. Sometimes they'll do a single, or they'll do a EP or a short album or whatever. But it's all about buzz. You know, and the label thinks that you got that certain something, that look, that certain voice, that certain thing that makes girls or guys go crazy.
Yeah.
That's what the money's going to get pumped into. You know. And it is good. I mean, it's nothing wrong with that, but not everybody is a superstar. You know, even all the people who get signed, sometimes it makes me wonder what made you sign that particular artist. You know?
Yeah, crazy. Huh? Okay, you said you're a movie buff, so I'm gonna flip the script on you a little. What's give me some of your favorite movies?
Okay. When I say movie buff, I love watching movies, but I'm not the type of guy that can name every movie that Samuel L. Jackson was in. I'm not that good.
Yeah.
But I love sci-fi, good sci-fi.
Okay.
You know, like one of my favorite movies of all time was Contact.
Oh yeah.
And I also love the movie called The Abyss.
Yeah.
You know, just great, believable sci-fi movies. You know, I don't like the one-eyed alien sci-fi. Those aren't me. But the sci-fi movies that really make you think that could really be real. You know.
Yeah.
You know, I love Shawshank Redemption. I love a lot of the things coming out on Netflix and Amazon, like this doggone series called Ozark. Man, that shit is amazing. You watch Ozark?
Yeah, so good.
That show is incredible. And I was a big Breaking Bad fan.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find anything as good as Breaking Bad until I found Ozark. Ozark is pretty good.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm a Game of Thrones fan.
Nice.
But I love movies. You know, I love movies. Like I said, I love sci-fi more than anything. And I like a good thriller and a good action flick, I guess.
Nice.
I'm not the type of guy that collects a bunch of movies. As a matter of fact, I think the only movies I got was The Abyss and Contact, because I grabbed the ones that really, 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 touched me.
Yeah.
But I just like a good movie.
Yeah, right on. Did you ever see Better Call Saul?
You know what? I started that, but I dropped off from it because I know it's like the prequel to Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
But I didn't stick with it like I wanted to, and I watched the first maybe half a season, you know, and I was like, this don't feel like Breaking Bad, you know. But I guess I need to give it time because my wife was looking at it the other day, and I looked at it, and I'm seeing some of the same characters that I saw from Breaking Bad. I'm like, hold on, maybe they're getting close. And I'm gonna tell you, Walter ain't dead.
Oh, what?
When Walter got blown up or shot back, whatever that was, he hit the ground. They never showed him dying. They know he was hurt, but I'm telling you, they left the door open for Walter White to come back.
Oh, man.
Hold on, let me show you this.
You heard it here first, folks.
Walter is not dead.
Darryl Duncan's got it.
He's coming back.
Oh, my God, you got a bobblehead.
I got a Walter bobblehead.
That's wicked. Oh, yeah, that was such a good show. Like, talk about the de-evolution of human character. It was just brilliant, and he played that role like just amazing. He was just brilliant in it. Yeah, so brilliant in it. And it was every show was like he was like a roller coaster. I was like, wow, you know. And Ozark is kind of like that. I really like Ozark. Yeah. Ozark really took me. I didn't know what to expect. Right. And because I mean, Jason Bateman is honestly, I didn't see that coming, and he directed it exactly. And acted. Yeah, he's brilliant. So I thought I just see him as the good old boy from the family sitcoms. I didn't think of him as this dark money laundering drug lord, you know. Yeah. But he really impressed me with that. He's good in it. Yeah. And I got to find other things, you know. It's funny too. We're in an age where I used to think that all the cable shows, you know, they put movies on that used to be in the theater. Yeah. Well, now Netflix is making their own movies. Amazon is making their own movies. HBO's making their own. These movies are exclusively just on those channels. Yeah. You know, so it's a whole other world in the movie business too. You know, like totally. I think Ozark's, I don't know if that's on A&E or FX, but all these networks are now movie studios in themselves. Yeah, it's crazy, right? I'm like, wow. Yeah, and a bit of a license to print money. I haven't checked out Amazon yet. Have they got good stuff? Well, you know what? It's funny because I have Amazon Prime, and I got it so that
when I order something, it'll come the next day.
Yeah.
I don't even use the movie and music part of it.
Really?
So I've got access to all their movies and music, and I haven't even used it. And I told my wife, I said, we got to check this out. We're paying for Amazon Prime. It's like $99 a year.
Yeah.
You know, but we're not using the access to all the movies they got, because I also got Netflix and you've got HBO. So I gotta narrow down something because my cable bill is too high.
Yeah. What's like? I think I pay like $11 a month for Netflix. Is that about the same down in the U.S.?
Yes. It was $9 when I started.
Yeah.
But I think it's up to $11 now. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's man. I can totally binge watch. Like if I didn't have anything better to do, I'd be down a rabbit hole for days.
Yeah, that's what I did with Breaking Bad. I binge watched Breaking Bad. I didn't come out the house. I didn't eat. I was like, wow. Awesome. But it's good they can make shows that can captivate you like that, you know?
Oh yeah.
Because there's so much garbage on TV. Good shows. It's not like a good compelling show, you know?
Yeah. If you were going to develop any artist right now, what would you be looking for?
Oh gosh, man, that's an easy one. Someone who can truly sing.
Yeah.
Today in the music business, man, there are so many artists who are all about how shocking they can be, how much flesh they can show, girls, how much boobs they can show, how much butt they can show. I am into talent that gives me goosebumps. And I know a few people like that, man. And if I had a record label, I would sign them up in a second, you know, like this young lady, EMRE Wilkins, who sang that song on my website called Always There. Just the type of voice that just no description, man. That's what I would be looking for. And someone who's also humble, because I'm gonna tell you, a lot of mistakes that tremendous singers have made, which hurt their popularity, is they're kind of assholes. They have no humility. Yeah. You know, and I wouldn't mention one name now, but I think I get a lot of hate mail. But I think that was Whitney Houston's problem. Oh. She had an amazing voice. Yeah. An amazing voice. But her personality, she lacked humility. And that turns people off. I know it turned me off. Yeah. If you can be humble, show that humility, and your talent is amazing at the same time, people will love you a lot easier and a lot faster. Yeah. You know? So that's just my opinion, you know. Yeah, I saw an interview by Billy Corgan, the Smashing Pumpkins guy. And he, and I don't know, it was a weird interview because he didn't seem humble at all and didn't seem to care. He's just like, when you're this big, this is how the world is for you. And, you know, it's different than it is for you down there in the unwashed masses. Exactly. And they don't realize how quick that can be taken away from them. Yeah. You know, that fame and fortune can disappear faster than it appeared. Yeah. You know, and people don't, that's a human trait. They don't seem to realize that that's fleeting. But to be a decent, likable human being with humility, people like you if you're not talented, you know? So
for sure.
That's just my take on it. But I love great singers. Great singers just blow me away.
Justin Bieber.
What about him?
Do you think he's a great singer but an asshole?
You know what? I don't think we can expect him to be much more than what he is, being how young he was when he became successful. Yeah. I actually like his voice. I think he's very talented. Yeah. I truly do. I think that he will grow into his humility. I don't think we could have expected. I mean, I know he's 20-something now, if not almost 30. Yeah. But when he first came out, when you're that successful, that loved, and that much of an idol at 15 years old, you're going to be an asshole.
Yeah. You just get it. And is it maybe management? It didn't look after him?
Yeah, true, that too. But when you get all that money and then you turn legal, you're 18, there's nothing no one can do to control you. Not parents, not a manager. You know, society gets a hold of you. Bad influences get a hold of you. You know, drugs or whatever get a hold of you. Yeah, that's that. But I actually like Bieber, talent-wise. Yeah. You know, I don't have a problem with him against him as a person. You know, his ego is out of control, like anyone who was a multimillionaire at 18 years old or 20 years old would probably be, you know. But I think he's a strong artist.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Are you a reader?
Michael, you must know me, man. No, I am not.
Okay.
But it's because I'm dyslexic.
Oh, okay.
And I struggle with reading often. As a matter of fact, it has affected my music in a way that you would not even imagine. But instead of me going about it here, when we're done, I'm going to email you a link of a speech I gave where I detail my battle with dyslexia, how it's affected my music, but how I overcame despite of. But I struggle with reading. And reading a book, black letters on a white page, well, music is black notes on a white page as well. Yeah. So I'm switching up music notes when I was at the American Conservatory of Music, just like I'm switching up letters. So you can imagine what the sentence sound like. Imagine what the musical phrase melody sound like when I was switching it up. Wow. But so no, I'm not a big reader. I can read, of course, but it takes me a little bit longer than the average person to get through a page.
Yeah. So it's not one of your comforts then. That's the
No, it's not. But and it's something I hid my entire life. I didn't even really come out about it till I was like 45.
Wow.
And I'm 55 now. Yeah. So just about 10 years ago, I shared it with the world. And that's kept me from a lot of things, including touring with Prince, touring with Earth, Wind and Fire. I was asked to, and I declined those gigs because I knew that my musical limitations would not allow me to handle a full tour like would be required, but that's why I told you earlier, the computer was my best friend musically. Right. Put me in a room with my software, I'll work magic, but stick me in front of a keyboard in front of a dinner party, people think I never have seen a piano in my life. Right. Because what is a piano? Black keys on top of white keys. It's all the same jumble for me. Wow. But I'd love to share my story with you. I'm going to send you that link if you're interested in it.
Yeah, of course. I'd love to. Is it something I could share on the podcast, like on the page?
Absolutely. It's on public YouTube. You could share it on the podcast. Sweet. I'm speaking to a group of dyslexic children. Yeah. It's called Dyslexic Buddies, the Buddy Network, something like that. Yeah. And I was asked to speak there just to give young children with dyslexia hope and understand that it's not an issue of intelligence, it's an issue of brain perception, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. But and that video has gotten a lot of views since I did it, and that was about 2 years ago, I think, 2.5 years ago even. Oh. But I was really, really proud of it, and it explains a lot about not just my situation, but what a lot of young people with dyslexia go through. And I also mentioned in there all the famous people with dyslexia, and you'd be shocked at all the famous celebrities who, despite dyslexia, are enormously successly. Oh, that's but I'll send you the link once we're done.
Yeah, right on. That's great. We'll put it
and
down.
You're welcome to share it. Absolutely.
Yeah, sweet. I'm gonna close on this. Okay. I love rebels. I love people that just do things because they're driven to do it and they want to make a difference. There's a lot of people out there that feel the stir inside, but they don't know how to do it. You're where you're at in your life and your game. What advice could you give people on this trajectory, on this journey, that would help them along the way?
That's a great question, man. And you know what? I've answered that question probably 100 times to myself. Almost every night I answer that question, and I give a different answer each time. But I would have to summarize that by saying you are capable of things you don't even know you're capable of, and I don't mean not just physically, but intellectually, conceptually, creatively. If you have a thought or an idea, freaking go for it. Yeah. I mean, if everyone listened to the Doubting Thomases in their life, no one would even come out the house, let alone start a business or try an idea. But I would say for anyone who think they have a great idea, and you're going to fail. Failure is a part of it. As a matter of fact, I just finished. Where's this done? I won't do it now. I just did 10 tips for my Dream Council clients.
Oh, nice.
And one of the tips was, I got it right here. One of the tips was, here it is. The last one I said was, love it and have fun. Success will not come to everyone, but it will come to those who are patient, persistent, committed, and ambitious. If you do it because you love it, you will never be disappointed by what does not happen.
Nice.
And that's kind of how I feel, man. And I've had my share of disappointments. You know, I mean, I've started more than a few companies in my time. You know, and you know, you throw it all up and you see what sticks. When you fail, don't give up. I mean, everything I'm saying sounds cliche. It's just what everyone and anyone would say.
Yeah.
But success can come in so many different ways, shapes, and forms. You know, and if no one didn't tell you it ain't gonna work, those are the ones you go for.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
You know, those are the ones you go for. You know, so I would just say stick with it, and it's going to take time. You know, have a B plan in terms of how you can feed yourself. You know, don't put your last dollar into it so you won't be on the street. But know that sometimes launching a successful endeavor is not about months or weeks; it's about years. You know, that's fine.
Overnight success sometimes takes 10 years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know, exactly. That's why I love watching. Actually, this was a Facebook post I had. I love watching shows like The Voice or Shark Tank because I get a high when I see other people have their moment.
Yeah. Their
moment of validation and recognition where that idea they had is picked up, bought, successful. You know, it's just like, I don't know. I feel like it could be me. It's like I have the same excitement that they have, even though I don't even know them.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I love watching those shows. So those personal moments of victory and success really, really excite me.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, Darryl Duncan, it's been a blast.
It's been a great, man. It's been my pleasure. My pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much with Darryl Duncan for the RebelRebel podcast. I'm
excited. I am a rebel, and I can't wait to check it out when it's up. And if you ever wanted to be on again, I'm there. I love your show. I'm a fan now. I appreciate it, man.
Right on.
I truly appreciate it.
Cool. Thanks so much, Darryl.
All right, buddy. I'm going to email you those links we talked about.
All right, done. Coming up next week, episode 29, and I'm back on Vancouver Island with Mandy Farmer. She's the CEO of Accent Inns and one of the coolest properties on the planet, named Hotel Z. Check it out on Monday, January 28th at noon on the RebelRebel podcast. Thanks again to our sponsors Make More Creative and Drop Bear and Panda Productions, and of course the ever so talented EMRE Chords for our theme music. Don't miss an episode. Subscribe to RebelRebel on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else fine podcasts are served. See you next time, Rebels.